Ever since Call of Duty 4 blew up the franchise, Call of Duty has been a franchise that sold itself on DLC, downloadable content, and post-launch content. But what post-launch content has not been worth waiting for? What's up, everybody? Jimmy or Chaos. Welcome back to the Every COD series, and today we're going to do a topic I'm not sure we've actually ever done before, which is saying something. Today we're going to go through COD history from COD 4 all the way through Black Ops 6, and we're going to pick the worst DLC map in every single game. So you let me know which of these maps you thought was the absolute worst. Drop a like on the video, and we're going to start with a map that most of you probably never got to play. Raise your hand if you did. COD 4. Creek. You probably forgot this map existed, assuming you ever got to play it in the first place. Creek was one of the few DLC maps released for COD 4 back in the day. Absolutely gigantic and very slow-paced. It was basically just a different version of Overgrown, but somehow even less fun and even less exciting. Now, in terms of surface area, this was the biggest map in COD 4. Still one of the biggest 6v6 maps in COD history. But unlike the other large maps, Creek wasn't good for sniping. It wasn't good for tactical gameplay. It was too big, it was too slow, it was way too easy to hide from the enemy team. Definitely the worst DLC map and the perfect way to start today's list. Now we move on to World at War. Today's COD history video is powered by Elestral's Awaken, and whenever I get to do a brand promotion with a good friend, it's extra special. And that good friend is A-Drive, who owns Elestral's, and me and A-Drive go all the way back to the Team Caliber days, and if you know what I mean there, you've been around the channel for a long time. A-Drive is a Pokemon creator now with over 2 million followers, and he founded Elestral's in 2022 as his true passion. Brought on Shady Penguin is the RPG's creative director, and between the two of them, they have over 40 years of genre experience. They are running an Elestral's Awaken Kickstarter campaign from October 14th all the way through November 7th. Being involved in that Kickstarter campaign is the only way you can obtain alpha and beta access, receive exclusive in-game unlocks, purchase exclusive Kickstarter promo packs, and actually become an NPC or caster in the game. A little bit about the game is you bond one of 8 elemental spirits: Earth, Fire, Water, Thunder, Wind, Frost, Solar, and Lunar. And it's set in my favorite time, ancient Greek mythology. You have the Titan War, you can challenge divines such as Zeus and Poseidon, and you can compete in the world's first Elestriad and travel ruined temples and a whole lot more. You can bond with over 100 plus Elestrals. The link is at the top of the description, and it's the pinned comment if you want to go back the Elestral's Awaken Kickstarter campaign, and you need to do it sooner than later. Don't miss out. It's a limited time only, and that is the only way you're going to get all those special exclusive things that I talked about earlier. And I don't usually get personal with promotions on my channel, but A-Drive is a content creator just like me, and he had a vision and he started it from scratch, and he has grown Elestral's into a worldwide phenomenon. So I would really like you guys to go check it out and see what you think. Nightfire. I have actually unleashed quite a bit of crap about this map over the years, and I stand by all of it. It was way too dark to be a good map. Some people actually liked how unpredictable it was because of how easily you could hide in plain sight from enemy players, but if you were actually trying to play well here, basically the only viable strategy was to sit in a corner, wait for people to run by you, and do it all over again. The map was almost pitch black. I mean, there was a few sections where little fires and torches would give you a little bit of visibility, so everyone would just crowd those areas and hope for the best. Layout wasn't bad. The flow wasn't terrible. It was just the lighting. Definitely the worst in World at War. Modern Warfare 2, 2009 that is. Fuel. Raise your hand if you remember the rock glitch. This is one of the biggest 6v6 maps in COD history. Definitely the most hated DLC map in this game because the flow was not there. There was no flow. It took place in the middle of a desert by a gas facility. You could either hang out in the desert section where there was a giant boulder you could glitch inside of for an easy nuke, or you could hang out in the actual building where everyone was just camping in corners and watching the windows like it was Modern Warfare 2019. Absolute dumpster fire of a map. And AI would not say dumpster fire right there, right? And in a game like Modern Warfare 2, where the core gameplay loop was crazy, fast-paced, and explosive, Fuel was basically the complete opposite of why people liked the game in the first place. Not only was it the worst DLC map in the game, I think it was one of the worst maps in COD history. Black Ops. Zoo. Now, it's kind of funny that Treyarch decided to bring this map back in Cold War because back in the BO1 days, people didn't like it. There was good reason. It was not a fun map to play on. The lighting, the colors, they were super dull. It was visually boring. The layout, it was unpredictable. The spawns weren't very cooperative, and there was a few map gimmicks that made it even more annoying to play on since you never felt like you had a solid idea where the enemy team was spawning or what you were supposed to do to counter them. Now, I love Black Ops 1, my favorite Call of Duty of all time. And Zoo wasn't a very fun multiplayer experience. I'm absolutely clueless as to why Treyarch decided to remake it in Cold War. I mean, there's so many great maps in the original Black Ops, and you bring back Zoo. Modern Warfare 3 2011. U-Turn. This map was released as part of Content Pack 6, if you remember when content was distributed like that, and it kind of reminds me of Sandacina Border Crossing, just not as bad. You're fighting in the middle of an abandoned road filled with vehicles and busted up concrete barriers, and it did look interesting, but it was easily one of the worst maps in Modern Warfare 3 back in the day. It was too frantic, and the reason for that was the lack of overhead cover. You had this streamlined layout made it way too easy to get instantly killed upon spawning in, and you often didn't get a chance to see the person who was picking you off because basically everywhere on the map, it made you a sitting duck. It does now that I think about it, it sounds an awful lot like Border Crossing. Black Ops 2. Pod. Now, Black Ops 2 was loaded with top-tier multiplayer maps. I think the DLC season was one of the best we ever got in COD history. But Pod was probably pretty easily the worst DLC map in BO2 season, but it was still one of the best maps on the list. It's definitely big, and it did remind me a lot of Drone, which wasn't a good thing, but at the end of the day, it wasn't terrible. It was slow-paced, and there was a few annoying camping spots, which made it feel pretty obvious as an outlier compared to the other Black Ops 2 maps, but I would have rather played here than on Zoo. I would have rather played here than on U-Turn or Fuel. It was just slow-paced and kind of campy, but at the end of the day, that's not that bad, and if this is the worst that Black Ops 2 had to offer in DLC, now you know why Black Ops 2 was so good. Call of Duty Ghosts Subzero. No, I'm not talking about the Mortal Kombat character. Most of us remember Ghosts for having some of the best DLC maps in COD history, and for good reason, because I've advocated that on many videos. When it comes to COD games, this game was saved by DLC. Ghost is the best example there. That being said, there was one or two really bad DLC maps, and Subzero was certainly one of them. Everyone knows that the problem with the launch maps in Ghost was a simple fact. They were too big and they were too campy. Most of the DLC maps did their best to counter that criticism, featured smaller and more aggressive layouts. But Subzero, which was one of the last DLC maps to be released for Ghost, it played like a launch map. Almost like it was a launch map that had been cut due to time constraints, and then eventually Infinity Ward threw it in one of the DLC packs to complete the season. It's not the worst map of the game, not even close. But it's easily the worst DLC map due to how much slower it plays compared to everything else, and how poor the visibility was. I really feel like Subzero was supposed to be in Ghost on day one, but I also feel it wasn't finished on time, so Infinity Ward just cut it from the launch lineup so they could work it a little more, and then after the launch maps were received so poorly, they kind of just held it in their back pocket for as long as they could, until they were basically forced to release it as part of the final DLC pack when everybody was already eyes forward to the next Call of Duty. That may be tinfoil hat, I don't know. But regardless of what you think about why Subzero plays like a launch map, it's easily the worst DLC map in the game. Advanced Warfare. Atlas Gorge. Yes, this was technically a DLC map, I know. A lot of people seem to think it was a launch map because it was a pre-order bonus, but technically it was DLC because it was also sold separately and eventually made a free add-on for everyone. And I'm pretty sure I did a video not too long ago where I completely contradict that and I put it as a launch map. I guess I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. It's my video. I'm just going to do what I want. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have no idea what Sledgehammer was thinking with this. I mean, it's a remake of Pipeline from COD 4, which was a pretty decent map for COD 4, but it was never a huge fan favorite, and it definitely wasn't designed to be played with jetpacks and crazy kill streaks. Atlas Gorge, it played like crap. There's no flow, the battle lines are really poorly established, the visibility was bad, and I have no idea why Sledgehammer chose this map to remake. I mean, they could have chosen any map from Call of Duty history to remake as the pre-order bonus for their new game. I mean, they chose COD 4's Pipeline. Who makes that decision? And then how does everybody vote it in? Black Ops 3. Rupture. This was a map that Treyarch really wanted us to like. It just didn't work for me, and it also didn't seem to work for most of the COD community. Rupture was a remake of one of the classic World at War maps, but the thing about World at War was the fact that there were tanks on several of those larger multiplayer maps. So in order to compensate for the lack of tanks in Black Ops 3, we got mechs. Rupture, you jump in, and it felt like a worse version of Titanfall. Rupture was slow, huge, campy, inconsistent due to the mech suits, and the mechs, they were not fun to drive. How do you do that? How do you put a giant mech suit in a Call of Duty game and it not be fun? I remember going and capturing these early at a DLC event, and we got in there, well, they told us we were getting mechs, and we were beyond stoked, and then we got in them, and we started just riding around in a really slow and methodical and clunky like, It was truly, truly disappointing. Infinite Warfare. I'm going to go with Dominion. IW did their best to win the community over after the horrendous reveal trailer of Infinite Warfare, just wrong game at the wrong time. One of the ways they tried to get people back on their side was with remakes of classic Call of Duty maps. One of those was Dominion. Did you know that was a remake of Afghan from classic Modern Warfare 2? I see where they were going. It just didn't work. It wasn't fun. The jetpacks and the wall running completely screwed up the flow of Afghan, and all the iconic sections and power positions, they were destroyed. So what you were left with was this weirdly shaped and inconsistent map that did not play well in any game mode. Afghan is fantastic in boots on the ground COD games. When you add jetpacks and wall running, it kind of just falls apart. COD World War II. Winter Carentan. Might be cheating since it was technically a weather variant of a map that was in the game on launch day, but I think everyone who played on Winter Carentan will agree it was bad, and once again, it's my video, so yeah. Carentan was a classic in the original COD games, but when it was remade for COD World War II, we discovered really quick that old school maps don't really work with modern mechanics. It was a complete camp fest in COD World War II. And then when Sledgehammer released the winter version, made it free for everyone, and tied a whole bunch of seasonal challenges to it, the community, they were pissed. Winter Carentan was just standard Carentan, but with a layer of snow over it, which made the visibility a little worse and further encouraged camping, which was not what the map needed. Now, Carentan is a piece of COD history, but COD World War II's version, it was, let's just be honest, it was buns. In winter, it was extra buns with a side of buns because, why? Why? Just why? Black Ops 4. Arsenal Sandstorm. Don't worry, I got you guys. The map was so bad that Treyarch literally had to delete it from the game. Free DLC map added to BO4 a little ways into 2019. Literally just a weather variant of the launch map Arsenal, which was a perfectly decent map on its own. But now the map was taking place in the middle of a crazy sandstorm that made it virtually impossible to see more than 10 feet in front of you without a thermal sight, which meant absolutely everyone was camping with thermals in the map because it became one of the worst Call of Duty experiences ever made. Reception to Arsenal was so bad that rather than patching the visibility or making adjustments, Treyarch just threw their hands up. They literally deleted it from the game. You can't even load up in a private match anymore. They completely erased it from COD history, and you know what? Good riddance. Nobody misses the maps, but we remember. Modern Warfare 2019. This is hard. I'm going to go with Talic Backlot. Backlot was one of the best maps in COD 4, and this remake completely destroyed that legacy. Infinity Ward has a really bad habit, or they did in the Modern Warfare 2019 season, of bringing back classic Modern Warfare maps but then implementing random changes to them to destroy the appeal. Talic in Modern Warfare 2019 was a remake of course, Backlot from COD 4. COD 4's Backlot was one of the best maps in the game, so people were hyped. But they added doors. Random doors. Completely annihilated the spawn logic, and it also added a new couple areas to the map that served to destroy the flow of the map as a whole. And then they added a whole bunch of new camping spots. COD 4's Backlot is a A-tier map in my book, possibly even S-tier. Talic Backlot, not only the worst map remake in COD history, one of them, it's also one of the worst maps in Modern Warfare 2019 as a whole, which is saying something because guess what? There was some truly terrible maps in this game. Black Ops Cold War. Deprogram. Cold War had a lot of really good maps. I respect how much effort Treyarch put into supporting it after the disastrous launch, but Deprogram never really worked for me, and I don't think I'm alone. Concept was cool. There were certainly some interesting visuals, but the crazy visual effects and the unpredictable layout made it very frantic. More frantic than fun for me. Now, I know there's people that like this map, so this might be a hot take, but personally, I didn't really enjoy it. Vanguard Gondola. To my understanding, the Vanguard community actually seemed pretty happy with the DLC maps in the season, but generally speaking, people seem to dislike Gondola, so I'm going to give it to you. I'll admit it. I didn't play a lot of Vanguard, but by judging by the videos I've seen for the map, I think the layout's a little weird and difficult to predict, which I can definitely see getting frustrated if you were trying to take this game seriously, which you kind of had to since this was during the strict SBMM era. To Vanguard players, you guys can let me know in the comments. Am I right or am I wrong? Modern Warfare 2 2022. Black Gold. I think this is one of the most hated maps in recent COD history, at least. Released as part of Season 3, it was designed to play with night vision. That doesn't mean all the map was in the dark because some sections were lit up, which meant you could randomly go blind because you'd have your night vision turned on, juiced up, and then you'd walk into a bright room and your whole screen would go white while you turned your night vision off. Then you'd walk out of that room and the screen would go pitch black until you turn the night vision back on. Yeah, people camped this map like crazy. Never went anywhere. Terrible map. No clue what Infinity Ward was thinking with this one. Modern Warfare 3 2023. Stay high. I don't know why this map exists. Actually, I do know why this map exists, but I don't like it. Stay High is a trippy 420 remake of Shipment that takes the crazy, frantic, unpredictable gameplay of modern Shipment, and then we add a bunch of wild colors and visual effects to make it trippy. The end result is a map that played horrible. It actually give you a headache with all the ridiculous visual effects and bright clashing colors. It sucks. I don't like it. Let's move on. Black Ops 6. I've got to go with Blaze Town. Maybe I'm grumpy right now by the time we got to the end of this. I am a little pissed off. I can feel it. But I can't stand this version of Nuketown. It's literally just Nuketown with a whole bunch of weed jokes and 420 visuals spread around the map, and I gotta ask, why? Why do we need it? Need I remind you that Call of Duty is a game where you can actually get banned if you use a swear word in the voice chat? But there's a whole map dedicated to this? It's not even an original map. It's yet another remake of Nuketown. So why does it exist? I don't know. I mean, there may be other maps in Black Ops 6 with worse layout and worse spawns. I just can't get behind Blaze Town. Of all the DLC maps in BO6, this is the one that left the most negative impression on me. And there you have it, my friends. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And I want to say really quick, thanks for all the love on the Modern Warfare commentary video we did the other day. I am probably going to, at least once a week, just talk to you guys. Like topics that are out there, divisive topics in the gaming community, Call of Duty. I appreciate the love. I hear you. I'll bring you some more.